Well, I am so excited to have Miss Mindy Cronquist. Did I say that right? Mindy
Yes,
Cronquist?
you said that perfect.
On the podcast. You, my dear, are a lovely human being. And if people don't know you, you are the Utah mom and sometimes Utah granny that everybody so much loves. And just number one credentials, top 250 agents out of 6,000 in Utah. And just somebody that's amazing to be around. Obviously, we have an online based relationship, uh, but just the little that I have gotten to know you just over the last few weeks, months has been amazing. And I'm so glad we got connected. So thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. You're like a force, and someday we're meeting in person and doing fun things.
100%. We will have an event. We'll plan it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait. So really quickly, let's just, whatever I didn't share, tell the people a little bit about yourself and
Okay.
your journey here, starting in real estate and all the things.
Okay. So I was left like as a single mom of two little kids and kind of lost everything. Moved into with my two kids into one bedroom, my parents' house. And I had been around real estate. My dad was a mortgage loan officer. So I had been around the business a long time. While I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, I lived there 10 years. I managed the sales force from a corporate level for a Fortune 500 builder. He later sold the company for like $10 million or something, which was a ton of money back then, right? But when I was left alone, I said, I'll never depend on someone again. I'm going to go and get my real estate license. And if I'm terrible at it, I have a great corporate resume. I'll just proceed that way. So I got my license. I think I was able to do about 14 transactions my first year as a real estate agent, which I was like, I thought if I can make 40,000 a year and support my kids doing this is amazing. And so it's just compounded, and I've created a very relationship based business. And like you said, I hate the word top producer, but I have been a top producing agent since I got in the business 12 years ago. Um, so I'm mom first. And so that's why I love the Utah mom character, because it's something I'm very familiar with. And it's just been a fun diversion from real estate.
Absolutely. Well, and also like a little bit of like a, release probably of like all the experiences that you go through that. I mean, then that's what makes it funny is that it's relatable. I'm sure. I'm sure some of the characters, some of the skits that you do might mirror a little bit of the, experiences or people you've come in contact with or whatnot. So I think that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't put the baby in the car or gone to leave and they have filled their diaper? Like, who has not had that if you're a mom, right? So
Absolutely.
it's fun.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. So your journey from literally going from probably one of the worst times in your life and hitting, rock bottom. What was there like a moment or something, and I know you kind of you rolled over a little bit about, you were in corporate world and then you're like, hey, real estate, I got to make this work. But what did you do? How did you, in that rock bottom moment, being left, and I'm sure lots of insecurities, lots of fears, unknowns, which a lot of people that we talk to are in that point, whether they're a real estate agent or it's clients that we're working with. How did you take yourself from that moment of probably a lot of fear and insecurity into, no, I can do this and I'm going to make this real estate thing work?
I think it's really important to have a why. Waking up every day, there was the first few months, there were really dark days. And I would wake up and say, I have to, for the sake of my children, act like life is good and happy and okay. So it was a lot of self talk, a lot of grit. But there was one day in particular I remember feeling like you have two choices. You either go down the road of being a victim your whole life and play on this pity party card, or you get up, you dust yourself off, and the best revenge is being happy and successful and giving these kids the very best life I can. And it's if I don't create it, nobody's going to create it for me. And I think it was just that moment of I love these kids so much that I want to give them and show them that no matter what life hands you, because life will hand you a whole heap of junk that you don't want to deal with, that we get up every day and we're positive And we get up and we make things happen. We don't wait for life to happen to us. We create opportunity. And so that for me was the big shift of two roads. I'm a victim or I create. I rise like a phoenix from the ashes and create something
Yes.
amazing. And I look now at my life and how I don't worry about money and I don't worry about where the next deal will come from. No scarcity in my life because I live in a state of abundance because I've chosen to be there. So that for me was life altering.
That's amazing. I'm boiling up because literally everything you're saying is like, yes, yes. It's the empowerment, it's taking control, it's being the victor, not the victim. And what I think people miss is that you have that choice. And that's exactly what you said. It's like you took your really crappy situation in what a lot of people would have given up or just didn't have the tools or understand that it was a mindset thing and that you chose that. Now let me ask you something. When you made that decision to, I'm going to go down this path of it's up to me, I'm the one that's going to be responsible for my life and my children's upbringing, and no one's coming to save me. Did you wake up every single day after that having that mindset? And if not, how did you get back to that? You know what I mean? Because obviously, this is not, none of our lives are rose colored. And it's like sometimes when we make a decision, we have to continuously remind ourselves of that. So for you, was it like, nope, is like a flip switched and I was going down that path? Or was there ever any wavering?
I was very deliberate because I had a vision and I am a very determined and like almost addictive personality, if I'm honest. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this. But yeah, I had to go and ask to borrow the money from my parents to go to real estate school and then to pay the MLS and the dues and all of that stuff. And so there were moments definitely where I was like, it felt heavy and the burden of potty training while I was doing class and getting up and going, oh my gosh, I got to get this one to kindergarten and this one on the potty. And like, there were definitely still days that were difficult. And it was just so much grit. Angela Duckworth's book really kind of when I hit the wall in real estate and I felt like, oh my gosh, I've already done 30 transactions and I'm trying to get this one to baseball and this one to dance. And there's still a lot of days where I want to come home and throw my phone in the lake and say, I'm done with real estate, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, then you have the clients that touch your lives and that send you and give you so much love back that it's like, I can never stop. I can never put this basket down. I just love what's in this basket so much. But yeah, there were definitely days that I had to push myself mentally to keep going.
Mhm. What do you think? I mean, obviously, I know it's part of just your makeup. It's your mental makeup. It's hey, I'm determined. I'm addicted. Like that's honestly, if it channeled in the right direction, people with addictive personalities, call it
Mhm.
ADHD, well, I mean, whatever. There's
Right.
all of that stuff can be superpowers, and when you channel it in the right way, it actually serves you. And so, tell me, because there's a lot of people that I'm sure you and I speak with that the excuse is, I have kids or I don't have kids. I'm married. I'm not married. I don't have enough time. There's too much time. I don't know what to do. Like, how did you take all of those, what could have been excuses, and get over those? Because I mean, I'm in it too. I've got right now, I have two kids, three and under. And it's,
Oh,
and I know what I do, to get myself out of it. But I think what people sometimes don't know is, and what they want to know from somebody like you, who's like, hey, you've made it in the sense of you dug yourself out of that pit that felt bottomless. And how did you take what could have very well everyone would have understood if you would have been like, you know what, this is too much. I
yeah.
can't build a business while I have two little kids that as a single parent. So are there any skills or like tangibly, what can someone that's maybe in the position that you were 12 years ago and say, that's what I can implement in my life. This is what I can take from Mindy and implement today.
I think a lot of it honestly comes down to work ethic. Are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to get off the couch and stop binge watching Yellowstone and get out and do farming or Instagram message or whatever your farm tactics are? Are you willing to do the work? because people will say to me all the time, you're so lucky to have what you have. Or like if, we have a boat because I wanted that for my kids for memories. You're so lucky to have that boat. And what my response to that usually is, if you want to have what I have, you have to be willing to do what I do. I'm working on holidays. I'm out on the evenings. I am constantly going. And so I just think to overcome it, be willing to do the work, be willing to get up and go. And if you don't feel like it, get up, do your hair, put on nice clothes, get up, do the thing, move your body, because that shifts your mind too. Get the adrenaline going and leave the house. Get in your car, drive to a neighborhood and door knock. If you don't want to door knock, leave the house, go sit in a parking lot and Instagram farm, message people, whatever it is, get out of your element, shake yourself out of your comfort zone and just go work.
I love it. You know, when I hear people say, "Oh, you're lucky," because I've heard that same thing too. And I said, you know what luck is? The definition of luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
If you
I
don't,
thought that today when I came on my way here. I'm like, this is so great to speak with her because this is all my life preparation meeting a really awesome opportunity. So I love that you said that.
that's really sweet of you. And I feel the same about you. It's like, it's crazy how when you live in that abundance mindset like you're talking about, and it's like there is enough business for everyone. There is like literally unlimited ceiling of whatever it is that you want to accomplish, whether that's being the top real estate agent in your area or being number one in sales or what, like, or beating another agent out in a listing appointment or whatever that might be. It's when you start to get in that mindset and then you get a win, and then all of a sudden like those wins get easier and easier. But what people don't realize is that it's hard in the beginning because you're working on mindset, you're working on your skill set, and you also have to be consistent. And so at first it is hard,
Yeah.
just like getting a train into motion takes a
Mhm.
ton of energy in the beginning. But as soon as that train is moving, way less energy. And
Yeah.
so,
And you get paralyzed by fear.
yeah.
And so I ask myself when I start to feel fear, and I ask my kids when they're like, oh, I don't know if I dare do that. My question is, what exactly is it on that thing that I'm afraid of? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of the rejection? So what? You
Mhm.
have to do a lot of so what? What am I afraid of? Because when you know what you're afraid of, then you have the power to conquer it and rationalize through, well, yeah, that's a silly fear.
Mhm.
Isn't that kind of a silly fear? And then it brings you to more confidence, more power, more accomplishment. You can rise above any fear.
What's the worst that could happen? Right?
Right.
You teach yourself, well, what's the worst that could happen? And usually your biggest fear doesn't actually end up happening, or it's like the chances of it happening are so slim. And so I do that same thing with people that I talk to, people that I coach, or even people in my personal life. Like, well, what's the worst that could happen? And when you actually verbally say it, helping people, you're helping your kids or you're helping the people that you're around, teaching them, how do I get past that fear? And how you get past it is not staying in that habit loop of fear, because
Yes.
it is a loop. And as soon as you hit the nail ahead. As soon as you recognize it, you stop it, and then you ask a question to literally find any logic in it. And if there's no logic in it, shouldn't be a fear.
Yeah. And you're masterful at that. You're masterful at delivering that message. Like, get over yourself. Go. I love that about you.
Ah, well, thank you. Well, it's just, I believe in people so much, and that if people just understood that your fears are not legitimate, they're not logical, and if you just were taught a way to figure out how to get out of that cycle, anyone can do what we're doing, right? I mean, I feel like one of the biggest things is that I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs feel, especially women, I think, is imposter syndrome. And even
Yeah.
myself, that's something it's like, oh, what if people find me out? And I'm like, well, what is there to find out? It's like, I didn't know anything when I first started. I was in a not a good situation. I've been in toxic work environments. I've been whatever, and it's like, well, why would anyone listen to me? That all of those things, all of those fears, I'm sure you have them. I have them. Everyone has them. It's just, I've gotten really comfortable moving right on past them. And it's not that the fear goes away. It's just, I've taught myself how to get in a different thought habit, thought loop, whatever you want
Yeah,
to call
if you realize it doesn't matter that much if someone thinks that you're a certain way, or like I remember being terrified to start TikTok being on camera. And then one day I said to myself, okay, what are you, identify the fear. What are you afraid of, that they're going to see you the way that they would see you if they walked into your office, or the way that they would see you if you went to show a house, that they would see that you have a little extra cushion for the pushing, that you like, what are you afraid of? So what? It's
it.
you. And if they don't like you, then moveon.com. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Felicia. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know, and it's like, it's literally as easy as that. It's as easy as you make it. And I always say, like, choose your hard, choose your suck. You know, there's lots of things that are more difficult in this life. And if, the most difficult thing we have to do as real estate agents is pick up the phone and call people or make a video online. It's like, at the end of
Have
the
a
day,
difficult conversation. People will put off difficult conversations. And it's like the time that you spend stressing and churning that in your gut, like you could have had that conversation and be past it by now. Just have that conversation. Yeah.
yes. Yes, I know. Every time I condition myself and train myself, actually. So if you've been following me, I do cold plunges. That's been my big thing this year.
I
And
love it.
I noticed that when I just go and make the decision, I don't dilly dally or like, oh, I'm gonna fill my water bottle a little extra, even though I didn't need any more before I go in, or I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, it makes the experience way worse when I get when you just commit to do the hard thing and you just go straight to it, just make the phone call. I've learned that just because I built my business cold calling, and that is a tool or a skill that I taught myself, is like, just dial, just click dial, and don't think about it, don't over research. If there's one thing that I could tell people about whatever it is they're trying to do lead generation wise, it's like, you just action. Take action. And I feel like that's exactly what you did to pull yourself out. It's exactly what you did to get to the top. The commonality, at least what I'm hearing from you, is like, you just did the thing, regardless. Though it doesn't matter. There's no excuses. There's no
Suck
nothing.
it up.
Or suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah. Just go.
Absolutely. So, okay, I want to transition a little bit, because I want to know, there is an art to creativity and to humor and to storytelling. And that's something that I feel like you have really just embraced, come into, gotten to be an expert at, and which is why obviously you've amassed a lot of followers. So, to somebody that's in real estate that maybe struggles or has some sort of mental block with like the creativity, the storytelling, what would you say, like, how would someone go from not knowing how to do that, but knowing that there's a gap in that for them? What would they do? What should they work on? And how do they overcome that?
Again, I think it's just try it. So I would say start by just filming video, getting comfortable on video, and you don't have to post it. You could just batch it. And like, okay, my delivery on that didn't sound so great. So I'm going to go back and try this again. And I'm going to try it with a little bit of this time. But I say that is probably the best place to start, is just start doing it. You don't have to post it. Batch it, batch it, batch it. And then when you feel like, that one was kind of good, then post it and watch what happens. Like the first Utah mom, when I first did that character, I looked terrible on camera. I think I have a bruise on my face. And I was like, I really don't want to post this. And it had over 900,000 views. I didn't expect that at all. But
Huh.
I just was like, I'm just gonna do it and forget about it. But I do a lot of like, okay, retake, blah, 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 get all the blah, blah out, and
Mm.
then start over. And my videos aren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but done is better than perfect.
Yes, absolutely. And then it's like, and then once you do it, and after a while, and you get used to it and you get better and better, better, then you can start to perfect and nitpick and what, but like, that doesn't give you an excuse to not post, basically.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you started and you had the Utah mom thing was a hit. What did you do? Like, what has been the journey, and what have you done? What have you learned as far as like, so what's your strategy now? Is there like a certain day that you batch create content? Do you get in a flow? Do you film every single day? How many times a day do you post? Like that's what I feel like people want to know is, okay, so you had this one hit, then what'd you do? Because you've obviously continued with the Utah mom and then even created the Utah granny. So tell us about that journey.
Yeah. So I started with, if you look through my first TikToks, I started with like, I want to be a realtor. Like I did very like realtor kind of content. And I realized in consuming other people's content that there's a much broader spectrum of content out there. And that as realtors, we get very fixed on home tours and financing and stats and all of that stuff. And I was like, I was attending a mastermind and I wanted to shift things a little bit. And in that mastermind, they said, Mindy, there's so many funny jokes about, props to Tim Macy, that said, we're an odd, peculiar culture here in Utah. We just are. And he's like, is there any hyper local jokes you can make? And I started to think, I'm like, oh my word, there are so many. So I'm like, okay, we got to do like pregnant, always pregnant, all this stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to give this one a try. And then Utah Granny kind of came like, well, Utah Mom has a mom, and there's family reunions. Like, we're all about families, like
Well,
55 cousins, right? And so that's where Utah Granny came in. And I didn't expect Utah Mom to be such a star. But the one thing that I've noticed, because it went very viral, but I'm now very consistent, I only post like once or twice a week. I get with my videographer because I'm not great at editing, and that's a key thing. If you're not good at something, learn where your time is most precious and hire that thing out. So he films and edits it for me. I pay him per video, and we just batch 4 to 6. It used to take me in the beginning like 4 hours to create 3 videos. Now, with the costume changes and everything, because I would sit and figure out scripts, now I write my scripts the night before or the morning of. Um, I keep notes on my iPhone of ideas that come to me as I'm driving around so that when it's time to write, I'm ready to go.
okay.
Um, Preparation is really important. And
Yep.
then now I can do like 6 videos in an hour or an hour and a half of Utah Mom. And we do all my realtor lines, we film all my Utah Mom, and then he edits them back and forth. So it's just been a really cool process of evolution where it gets easier and easier. And that's really my message is don't be afraid. In the beginning, it's going to feel hard. It's going to be awkward. You're going to feel like an idiot, but just do it because the dividends, it's given me so many opportunities. I spoke at our national conference about TikTok marketing. I spoke at another conference. I've been on multiple podcasts as a guest, and it's taken me and led me to people like you and other people in this industry that are now dear, dear friends to me. And I'm so grateful for those opportunities.
You're amazing. That's literally it's so cool to see how you take something that you're not good at or you've never done before and to literally see you go from because you can someone can scroll. That's the really cool thing I think about social media, or one of the cool things is that you can literally go back and see someone's journey of
Mhm.
their first video or the video that they first tried a concept or an idea, and then how that evolves over time, and then how you like literally you can almost see someone's strategy or thought process of, oh, this video went well, and then that's the track that you went on, or that so even you just describing the fact that someone's like, well, why don't you just branch out and not just focus on realtor? It's like, no, Utah Mom, I mean, that applies to so many different people. So have you found then with your journey, do you look at the vanity metrics like we all like to say, or do you look at what people like and then try and expound off that, or are you just like in your lane and you just do what works? Like, how has your process of creation evolved, other than I know you've already explained it a little bit, but as far as, so like now when you think of content ideas and things like that, do you really pay attention to your analytics, or do you just kind of go with your gut? How do you do that?
I do pay attention to my analytics because I want to know if people are finishing the videos or if they're just like clicking on it because it has a good hook or a good tagline. I am curious to see how long people are watching. I also am curious if I post one at 10 o'clock at night, does that get a better view than something at 8 in the morning or noon or 2? Like, what is my best time frame for my particular audience? And I consistently have 10 to 20, 30,000 views on my videos. So that tells me that for me, it's more important that the right person sees my video than the number of people who see my videos. I'm getting referrals. Other agents in other markets are like, oh, Mindy, I had to call you today because I was like, who am I going to send my Utah person to? You came up on my feed and I'm like, oh, that's right. I love Mindy. I'm going to send her my people. So it's been this thing of I'm so glad I stepped through the fear and I'm happy to be awkward and cringy. I still cringe when I watch my stuff. Like, just so everyone out there knows, I still cringe. It's okay to be cringy, but it endears people to you and it puts you top of mind. My sphere of influence, when I post some of the videos that they can really relate to, they'll text me and say, Mindy, I just needed that laugh today. I've had a really hard day. Thank you for making me laugh. And the power of connection, we
Mm.
lost that a lot when the virus that won't be named came along. And people, I feel like, crave that connection. And I'm so busy, I don't have time to connect with everybody all the time, but it keeps me top of mind to the people who matter. So,
And it does connect you. I mean, and I think that's where sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm not reaching out enough people. But that's the beauty of it, is that you actually are connecting with people because you are top of, I mean, that's the idea of being top of mind. And I hope people rewind, because you said some really amazing nuggets in what you were saying about how you utilize analytics, and that it's not, so there's analytics and then there's vanity metrics, right? And so some people have mastered the art of going viral, right?
yeah,
But if the right people, like you said, if the right people aren't seeing your content, then it doesn't matter. So it's not so much the likes and the whatever, how many views it had necessarily, but if you're getting smaller amount of views, but you're actually seeing results from that, and you're getting referrals, and you're staying top of mind for the right people, that's what matters, right? That's why it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in the vanity metrics versus the actual analytics. They're going to make a difference for your business. So I hope people caught that when you were talking, because that's something that I also have had to learn, as is like, something that I'm like, oh, this should have gone viral or whatever. But if I got a referral out of it, then I don't care if two people saw it, right?
yeah. If the right two people see it, that's the thing that I don't even think about the views anymore. I'm like, oh, I hope so and so in this state saw that. And I hope so and so in that state saw that. And yeah, I think that's something that we get really wrapped around the axle on is, oh, I only got 300 views. Okay. But what if four of those people are now calling you because something resonated with them? I think that that is the biggest social media myth, is that we have to go viral. That
Mhm.
word, viral. It's not about that. It's about creating a community, creating a vibe, creating a connection with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm curious. So, can you tell us about maybe any upcoming projects or goals that you might have for either, your business or social media, or both, maybe, combined? So,
Yeah, I really want to figure out other characters. Utah mom's got to have a baby sometime, right? Like people keep saying, is she ever going to have those babies? And I'm like, I don't know how to create that. So I am processing through, how do I have the babies and what's funny about it? How do I create now, like she's got, you know, quintuplets at the park or whatever it is. I don't know
I love
what.
this so many things. What if you're the Utah mom that had a punk rock daughter? Like, what would the Utah mom do?
Oh, the rebel daughter.
The rebel daughter.
Yeah, see?
Oh,
And this is where collaboration, I love speaking to other creators because they always have the best ideas. Like at the video conference, they're like, we want to see Utah mom do this, and we want to see Utah mom do that. I'm like, I think y'all are thinking about Utah mom even more than I am now, which
that's
is
great. You don't have to be endless opportunity or endless ideas, because people are, yeah, giving them to you. That's
yeah, because
amazing.
you
How do
know
you?
that
Oh, go
creating
ahead.
content can be a burnout. Like you're like the juices sometimes don't flow. And
Mhm.
so it's so
Yep.
nice to collaborate. Collaboration is king, to collaborate with other creators.
It's always better. It's always, I mean, anytime I'm sitting with, someone like you, where, you have an appreciation for creation, and you're constantly in it, and you're trying, it's like we all have those dry spells. I
Yeah.
actually was going through a dry spell. I don't know if you've seen my Diane character, Diane the
No,
realtor,
I've got to do
on
that.
TikTok. So I was going through a dry spell, and so my videographer and marketing director was like, why don't we just do like, let's throw a wig on you and just do something completely, and I'm like, that sounds phenomenal. And it just kind of, shook things up and got me out of my element. So I think that Utah mom should have a baby. I am in agreement and concur that that is a great idea.
Babies.
All the parenting tips, because I bet you Utah mom knows the parenting hacks that
Yeah, she can be very pretentious with her parenting. So, I like that too.
I love
Mhm.
it. I love it. Oh my gosh. We should do a Diane the Realtor and Utah Mom skit.
We
We
need
have to figure that.
collaboration.
Yes.
Yes,
We gotta,
love
let's
it.
I'm into this. We gotta figure out something to do. When we meet in person,
Yes, in the
happening.
next few months.
Let's make it happen. Okay, so what about I want to know, because there's a lot of, especially, women as moms, and we wear lots of different hats. So kind of going back to and drawing from that, you mentioned a few things about like y- you're able to do the things, you're working late at nights and all of that stuff. How do you balance your family and the commitment, because you said your mom first, but yet you're over here as a top producer and you sell a lot of homes every single year, and I know what that's like. So how like,
Yeah.
is there anything that you do that puts boundaries on things in both business and life, and how do you just, yeah, how do you balance it all?
I think that has been definitely a process too. Like I always joke that I used to be a real estate hooker. Oh, you want to go there? I'm there. You want to see this right now? I'll go. I don't do that anymore. And I used to on vacation be constantly, and now I've learned like today we're going to go out on a catamaran. And so the phone is actually going to stay in the safe and my husband can take pictures and videos so that I'm not tempted to look at my phone. I think that also is a mindset that you, as you are in this business and become busier and busier, that you realize that what you're telling your family when you have that phone with you constantly is that this $20,000 is more important than my time with you. And
Mhm.
I'd never want that to be the message. I've had my kids say, can you not be on the phone when you pick me up? Like you're on the phone every day when you pick me up. I'm
Mm.
like, and in my mind, I'm like, well, at least I'm picking you up and I don't have a nanny picking you up.
Right,
Right. Because he was
right.
like, you should get a nanny. You should get a driver. And I said, I did 7 years of fertility to get my kids. I'm not going to let a nanny raise my kids. That's my personal
Mm,
feeling.
mm,
It's great for someone else, but it doesn't work for me. And so I now set a goal at the beginning of this year that when every day when I pick my kids up from school, I am not on the phone. I don't care if the president of the United States is calling me. That is their time because there's a lot of emotion in that first 5 minutes that they get picked up. And so I think that really to answer your question, it is choosing it. Again, it's choosing it. And
mhm,
I choose not to suck in that way anymore because I acknowledge and I'm vulnerable about I have been terrible about that in the past. And there's emotion there from my kids around it. I said to my daughter, would you ever consider doing real estate? Like you could really walk into a nice business from what I've created. She's like, I never want to be on the phone as much as you are. And I'm like, self check,
mhm.
awareness check. And so I'm really grateful and I love doing it, but I have created some pretty solid boundaries where I time block certain hours and I will not come off of those. That is time for my family now.
Mhm. So, do you have leverage pieces in place in your business? Meaning, do you have an assistant or a transaction coordinator or a team or a director, things like that? Or do you have other life hacks like leveraging out meal services or house cleaner, anything like that? Like, how do you, or do you still do it all in one man show? Just what does that look like for you
We're
currently?
a little bougie on some things.
Hey, relatable.
No,
Yes.
I hired out my house cleaning about 2 years. When I really started producing, I'm like, I refuse to scrub my shower anymore because I mean,
Yeah.
I was 40 years old when I got my license, so my body just doesn't work the same. And I'm not going to scrub a shower when I could be having a conversation or a lunch with someone who can drive my business. So I have a housekeeper. I have a very awesome husband who does a lot of the laundry and dishes and things like that. I
Awesome.
hired a transaction coordinator that has been with me since 2016, Beth, who is amazing. and keeps me in my lane and makes sure I don't get violations. And then I have a couple of agents who will help me show property and write offers if I'm out of town or busy with other people. So, and then we'll do my open houses. So, yeah, I absolutely have leverage there. I'm probably going to make another hire for a full-time assistant by the end of May is my goal, because my business just keeps getting busier, and TikTok and Insta drive some of those extra referrals that I need help with. So yeah, it's been definitely a learning process, but trying to do it all will just make you crazy and tired. And it makes you a worse spouse, a worse friend, a worse mom, because you've given all your energy away by the time that they need you. So I learned when to say when.
Well, I appreciate that perspective because that is something I ebb in and out of that. It's like I know, obviously my kids are more important. Obviously my marriage is more important, than work sometimes. And so but when you're a high driver and it's like you're grinding and grinding and grinding and it's sometimes hard to stop and be like, okay, I am sending a message, like you're saying. So I definitely appreciate that perspective and just hearing, from another top producing agent that you gotta set those hard boundaries. And I've learned the hard way over and over again on those types of things. So
Yeah, I still continue to, and I think that there is such a euphoria of the accolades and the people telling you in the business that you're so amazing. When you're a mom, nobody's like, you made the best
right.
sandwich
Yeah.
today, right? In my lunch, it was so amazing. Like sometimes you don't get that, but in our business, we get a lot of affirmation. And so I have to put myself again in self-awareness check. Every day I wake up and I plan, and every week I plan. Every Sunday I sit down and I'm like, okay, what do I have this week? Where do I need help here? Where do I need help there? And I think that it's really easy to get caught up in, oh, Mindy, you're so amazing, when really it doesn't matter, because that's not the legacy I want to leave. It's like Mindy was an amazing real estate agent. I want my kids to say, my mom had roll up credibility. She was always there for me when I needed her, no matter what the business was doing. So
Mhm.
it's hard to not want to do it all because you want everyone to go, oh, you're a machine, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, I don't care if people think I'm a machine,
Mhm, mhm.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely a reality gut check for me personally. I know for probably a lot of people listening or watching is that, at the end of the day, it's the people that we're closest with, it's our families that we really want to make the biggest impact on. Of course, we want to have impact and value to as many people as possible, but the people that are coming to your funeral are probably the people that you want to have the most impact
I
on.
like that. I love that. Yeah, and it's all about I think real estate in general is all about relationships, and we talk about relationships, but then it's like, where are we really giving our time?
Mhm.
To what relationships are we giving the
Right.
time?
Right. Absolutely. So what do you think the biggest challenge that you faced other than obviously when you very first started? I mean, that was probably one of the top, just in life, but as far as like your real estate journey, maybe it's been recent or maybe, you were doing this and then you had a whatever. Like what do you think the biggest obstacle that you've overcome in your business specifically has been over the last 12 years?
I would say learning to balance all of the things that come, the distractions. Michael Hyatt has a great book called Free to Focus that I just finished. And I realized when I read that book, oh my word, it is. It's like I'm focused on something, and then ding, the phone will go, ding, an email will come in, ding, a phone call will come in. And I'm like, oh, wait, where was I on this? And I think it's easy to get distracted and forget where you're going and what's important to you. And I can't tell you how many times that I had somebody I needed to follow up with. Like my follow up really sucks sometimes because of the distractions. And so that's really probably one of the hardest things for me to overcome, because I can't, like, I think last week I had like 9 referrals come in. It was every day 1 or 2 referrals. And I'm like, oh, but I have 2 listings to prepare. And I've got, 7 transactions I'm managing. And I've got kids, and I'm getting out of town for a conference. And so that staying focused for me and not getting distracted by the shiny object over here has been something that I continually have to push through and work on.
Yeah, makes sense. It's so true. And just one of the best things I ever did was remove my email notifications and social media notifications on my
Mm.
phone. And
Yeah,
because you can control it, right? So I don't have anything that's, every time you get a message or everything, because all of that is everybody else's urgency versus mine,
yeah.
So that is one of the best decisions I ever made.
And I think that another thing that I've been really aware of is how often I'll say I'm sorry for things when really I'm like hustling and driving, but I'm like, I love that terminology of thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for being patient. I'm
Mhm,
getting to that.
mhm.
So
100%.
forgiving yourself and realizing, because it's really easy for us to get down on ourselves for what we're not doing. So I have to remind myself in my daily planning, I actually have affirmations that I'll say to myself, like, you're doing much better than you think you are. Love yourself a little bit more. And I think that we all, especially as women, where we're mentors to children and we kind of hold the house together, we're the glue, that
Mhm.
it's really important for us to remind ourselves that you're doing better than you might think. Love yourself more.
I love that, and I definitely need to add that to my affirmations because it's so true, and we're our biggest critics, and we try and do all the things, and I think we expect that we need to be machines, and that, but it's like you get a trophy for being a machine.
Yeah, nobody's giving out that award.
Right.
And
No,
I
no,
don't want
no
that
such
award.
thing. No, yeah, no, thank you. Uh, well, you were mentioning, referrals and things like that. So I'm flip flopping back and forth here. But would you say so? Like, obviously, your business has probably evolved over time. Like, what you were doing 12 years ago to start is probably different than what you're doing today. Did you have? Well, I have two questions, two-part question. Number one, how did you build your business versus how you're sustaining your business now? And maybe it's the same. Maybe you're doing the same things, but I have a feeling there's probably some differences there. And then number two, how many referrals on maybe a daily, weekly, monthly basis are you getting from specifically your Instagram, TikTok, and social media platforms?
Yeah, when I first started, I created door hangers for 100% financing because first time buyers are the low hanging fruit, right? So I actually took my kids who were what, 4 and 5 at the time out in February and we hung 2,000 over 2 days door hangers. And I said to them as we were all out doing this together, my husband was driving and helping. I said, if they'd never been to Disney World, I said, if I can get a couple of deals from this, I'll take you to Disney World. And I'll never forget standing in line for a roller coaster at Disney World a year later. And he looked up at me and said, it's because we hung those door hangers that we're here, Mom, right? And I said, yes. And when you follow your dreams and you work hard, you can get whatever you put your mind to. Like these are the lessons that come from real estate. It's bigger than me. And then, so I now I don't do anything except social media. And I do client events. I'd love to gather my people and get that love and let them know that I'm still here. And so I do client events now. I don't do any door knocking or anything like that. It's all word of mouth. It's other agents who tell other agents. It is clients that just tell other clients. And so the second part of that question is from TikTok and Instagram, I would say that I am probably taking 2 to 6 per month from those sources, which isn't a ton, but they're all very local. I had a $2.3 million buyer come from TikTok, so it definitely works.
That's amazing.
Um, and then from my sphere of influence, I would say I get pinged at least 2 or 3 times a day from somebody's like, oh, I told my coworker about you. My sister's going to be calling you. And it's just when I'm a firm believer in leading with the giving hand and you get what you give. When you give out positivity and you give out love and you're positive about the business, every time someone asks me about the business, I'm positive. I'm like, oh yeah, well the appraisal came in low, and this buyer like bailed on me after working with them for 2 months. I never go there because they don't care. Nobody wants to hear you complain.
No.
And so they call me, some of the title people here call me the Mary Poppins of real estate. I just believe in positivity and the law of attraction with that positivity. It just comes back.
That reminds me of a Zig Ziglar quote that says, "If you help enough people get what they want, you'll have everything you ever wanted and more in life."
Yes.
That's exactly what you are. You embody that. I mean, you give out, what you want back, and you don't stress about what's not, or what doesn't happen for you, because it's like on to the next.
Yeah, my mom used to say, give and give and give until you have everything. And I have operated my
Yes.
business from that mindset and it works.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Something you also mentioned too that stood out to me was you said your husband went with you when you
Mhm.
door knocked and you did all that. How cool to have a supportive husband, and coming from a situation where that was probably the exact opposite
Yeah.
of what you had, to then that. How does having a supportive role player, a supportive partner, affect and impact your business?
It's huge. And he's in lending. So it's been so cool when I'll like send people to him that and we get done with the transaction. He's got 25 years in lending. And I didn't know him before I was in real estate. And so I got my license, I think, a few months after we got married. And I said, I'm going to do this. I had it within 2 months and I just got rolling. And so that has been, he is my rock and he listens to me complain when nobody else will. But he'll pre-qualify my people on Saturday or Sunday when nobody else is in. And it's fun for people to say, working with you two's like the dream team. I'm like, yeah, because I'm waking up going, you got to check on that appraisal this morning. Like there's no off button.
Right. Yeah, you're like, I get to ask you all the questions anytime and get what I need. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's been a huge blessing. Definitely a huge blessing to have him help me.
Love
And he
it.
makes sure, like, if I have a new client that comes in from TikTok and I don't know if they're a creeper, he's like the bodyguard who shows up with me, with the guacamole in case something goes south.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's amazing. That's what a cool, coming from where you came from and what you had to dig yourself out of, and now having that kind of a partnership is dynamite. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, well, I know we're running out of time here. So I want to know, tell me about your merch, Fetching Sweet.
Yeah, I decided that there were a couple catchphrases that caught on really well on TikTok that had like lots of hearts. And so I said, when I went and spoke at the national conference last year, the real estate video blueprint, everyone's like, you need merch, you need merch. And I'm like, really? But that has been so fun. So I just started small with like pens that I would hand out. And now I have sweatshirts and the yoga pants. Like I've sold like a bunch of yoga pants because the Utah mom is always in yoga pants.
Yes,
The
yes.
Lululemon, right? Not to endorse.
Right.
But that is just Utahns. We don't like the specific culture here really tries not to swear and especially not the F word, and we don't drink or anything. So I was like, oh, we gotta have fetchin', flippin'. We've got to have those like fake swear words.
Yes.
And people love it. Like I love when I'll see a hat or I'll love when I'm at the grocery store and they're like, oh my word, are you like Utah mom? And I'm like, flippin', yes, I am.
Yes.
Fetching, heck yes.
Fucking heck yes. I love it. It's like it's so on brand and
Yeah.
it's perfect. Yes. And I'm so
Darling.
so glad you have merch. Yes, that's so good. So what I want to know is, well, I know because I know what you're about, but if you had to sum up your message to convey, your content and your brand, and what you want people to take away from it, how would you summarize just basically what you're trying to share in the message that you have for people?
I think the big message is that Utah is a good place to live. It's clean. It's a great place to raise families. We have a lot of amazing outdoor living, but the people are good to each other. Look at that cutie. The people are good to each other. And for me, it's the message is you want to be here. Like, come live here. We have a strong economy. But for me, it's really about my connection to people and making them smile, and that life is so heavy that the last thing we need to do is get on social media and be weighed down by negativity. Just scroll through, have fun, have a laugh. And if you need something, I'm here. If you want to send someone my way, I'm here. It's like, I'm over here. That's the main message is that be good to people and have fun. Life's too short to not have fun.
Absolutely. And I think you totally embody that in real life and on social media. And I love character consistency. It's hard to come by these days, but you truly do exude what you're trying to portray to people. So it's been a huge blessing to have you on today. And I'm just so glad that you said yes and that you were willing to get raw and real and tell us all the things.
I so appreciate you having me. And I have people say all the time, we binge watched your videos in bed last night. I'm like, I'm in bed with everyone. Utah mom is in bed with everyone, that little minx. But tonight I'm going to be watching in bed your new character with the
Diane.
wig.
Yes.
Diane is coming to my bed tonight.
Well, she will love it. She's can't wait. Well,
Thank you so
again,
much.
so where do people find you? Just tell us all the things, all the platforms where they should find you at.
So I had Mindy Cronquist on my platform before I started Utah Mom. So I should be Utah Mom, but I'm not. It's just my name at Mindy Cronquist, Cronquist. And that is across every platform. Keep it easy. I have a link tree on TikTok that will take you to everywhere. So,
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again. And I would love to have you on and have you back again if
yes,
you're willing.
I would love it. Big
Yay.
hearts.
Big hearts. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I super, super appreciate you.
Thank you, Jen. Have a great day.